Alright, y'all, I know I slacked off on y'all, alright? I'm sorry, my apologies. I've actually been creating a podcast, so that's taking a little bit of my time away from, you know, like doing this. Also, the courses, online courses that I have available for not only haircutting, but social media marketing for you guys. But, like I said, the podcast is dropping soon. I thought I would have it available for this video. I also stalled this video out a little bit because I thought the podcast would be up and ready to go ahead and kind of give that out to you guys as another little gift. Just make sure you guys check the link down below. It's going to be called Deluxe Podcast, so even if I don't have the link down below, at least check it out on Apple Music. Apple Music is a little iffy with me, but I know you guys are gonna enjoy this video right now. If you see my boy Trevor before, mid-taper fade with the curls on top, but I think I really got him dialed in for this one. You guys are gonna really enjoy. He's off at college, so you know he's not gonna be looking the best when he first walks in, but you know exactly how he's gonna walk out, right? Enjoy this shit. Alright, yo, so to start off, we're just gonna go ahead and start picking out his hair. Now, look, I know this is not the right comb to be using. I usually use the pick so I can go ahead and comb out his hair. I just use like a little comb. It did the job. I know it's not the correct thing. Don't kill me in the comments. Next, I'm just gonna go ahead and assess the hair and get started on that mid taper on the right side. Now, on that first taper, whenever I do a taper on the sideburn, especially a mid taper, you're gonna see me kind of do like that half moon cup shape to give my first bald guideline in there, and I'm gonna continue that shape all the way up throughout the rest of the taper. Now when I do this, it's gonna give it a nice little indent in terms of baldness, and also kind of fit the side of the head, the temple area a little bit better when I do fade out the rest of the hair and kind of build it up into the rest of the bulk. Now because he does have so many curls, and like I do before in a lot of videos, I always save the bulk of shaping up to the very end. It's just something I do. A lot of people, they like to go ahead and take down the bulk and shape it up first, all the way around the head. I'll take down the bulk on the area I'm fading first, but I'm not gonna go ahead and waste a whole lot of time shaping up until the very end and I have a clear-cut picture of how I want that whole type of his curls to be sitting on top of his head. Next, I'm gonna go through and just kind of go through my fading steps, fading all the way up to about a 3 guard, and then kind of clip over, combing and freehanding everything to kind of give it a nice little shape. Remember, because he has like these loose curls, I don't want to go too far in or make the hair too short. Then you went ahead and see me setting the line up, the nice little C cup with my Andis T outliners, and then I'm gonna go ahead and re-go over everything. This is kind of like the cleanup. This is kind of like the perfecting of the rough draft. So that first go through is always my rough draft. Then I want to go ahead and go back over the whole haircut again from 3 guard and work my way down and really nitpick in those darker areas, make the fade pop that much more, and go over my work extensively until I'm satisfied with the result that I see. So I go over it a lot. I finish off with my no guard clipper all the way open and kind of picking out just to get any dark spots out, and really I see the best results with that. I think a lot of times barbers, and I know for myself too, I always try to get the haircut like perfectly all the way through that first time, but when I would try to do that, like I would spend too much time on one area and then like all of a sudden notice like, oh shit, I'm running out of time, like all right, and then you just go through and rush the rest of the haircut, and that's never gonna work out, and your client's never gonna be happy with the product of that. Look, your clients are gonna understand and notice when you're rushing. I think it's always the best when you're able to give each client their proper care and attention to detail, and they'll really recognize that and pay you and tip you out accordingly, and they'll also come back to you. I mean, honestly, no client wants to come to a barber repeatedly if they keep feeling or have this feeling of the barber's rushing their haircut. Nobody wants to be rushed in the barber chair. I know for myself, I'm sitting in the barber chair, I'm trying to relax. I'm trying to, let the barber do his thing, however long it takes. Look, I sometimes, look, I do have things going on after a haircut, but I don't mind taking a little bit longer if I'm in the chair and let the barber take his time. If that means it makes me look even that much more fresh, or just has me looking exactly how I need to. I'd rather take more time out of my day to make sure my look is on point rather than rushing and being on time for something else, and then the rest of my week I'm looking just like straight trash. Going through real quickly, just brushing through that other side of the taper. Whenever I kind of do both sides of the taper, I also want to make sure I line both of them up, or kind of keep on referring back to that first taper that I did, just to make sure like one taper is not higher than the other. Sometimes when you're doing the other side of the head, you kind of get lost a little bit. just because you don't have that other side to reference to. It's on the other side of the head, which you're not working on. So using different points of somebody's head, maybe their eyebrows, their eyes, forehead wrinkles, stuff like that, or even just simply turning their head and taking a peek at the other side and referencing back to the other side and kind of lining them up visually always helps out, whether it be lining up that C cup, whether it be taking up that baldness a little bit higher, making sure the fade is stretched out evenly on both sides. You don't want to have somebody asking for a mid taper and leaving with a lopsided taper ever. Now I'm gonna go ahead and work on that back taper. Now whenever I'm doing a back taper, especially on somebody like with these loose curls, but regardless, just back taper in general, I never want to go higher than that occipital bone in the back. When you kind of take that thing up higher than the occipital bone, that's when you're just gonna kind of get this like view of like, it almost looks more like a fade more than a taper. The taper is supposed to be sitting on that neck, that neck area, and really stay condensed in there. Even if it's a higher taper, it's just gonna be, you know, it's gonna be a little bit tighter fade, but you're not taking it up higher on the back of the head. You're just making it a little bit more condensed. You're just condensing it down in a smaller area and having to fade it out in a smaller surface area for that. Now I know, you know, like we're in 2019 already. Hopefully none of y'all have been writing 2018 on any of your papers. And I know before on a couple of videos I've been talking about goals and goal setting and everything like that. And I hope everybody's keeping up on their goals they've set for themselves in 2019 thus far, because you know we're only about like half a month or 2 weeks in, 3 weeks in almost. So you know it's still early in the game. You know, I want to make sure everybody's staying on top of their goals and staying focused on what they want for the rest of 2019 for themselves. One great way, what I do a lot of times is, honestly, in my room right now I have set up a lot of whiteboards around the room. I have them hanging up and also kind of free on the ground to be able to pick up and edit them out as well. But one thing I have on my whiteboards is of course my goals, and not only like business plans and stuff like that, but also goals for my 2019, or just goals in general. So and the reason for that, I always try to make them in areas where when I first wake up in the morning, that's the first thing I see. You know, so you know, first thing when you wake up, you see your goals. Your mind is already fixated on like what you need to be accomplishing throughout your whole entire day to be able to accomplish those goals. Sometimes when we write down goals just in like a notepad or something and kind of put them away under the bed or on the bedside table or something like that, we tend to forget about them. You tend to almost not just remember them at all, and kind of like, you know what, I don't need to be like paying attention to that shit. You know, I got other shit going on. I'll make sure I get my goals later on throughout the year. But when they're in front of you, face to face, when you're face to face with your goals, you have no other option but to see them every single day. You're gonna attract those goals, and you're gonna do things throughout your day that move you closer towards that, because it was literally the first thing you saw. Instead, like, think about this, instead of seeing whatever Sally did on your timeline on Instagram, you looked up and saw your goals and remembered, oh shit, okay, that's what I need to be doing. Gave you that little extra pep, that extra motivation to get out of bed on time, get your day started, go to the gym, maybe read a little bit more, you know, invest in yourself, go and meditate, go and figure out how you're gonna build this business for yourself every single day, rather than getting up, rolling over to bed, you know, checking your phone a little bit. Think about how much more productive you can be. And I find it that works for me the best, because Lord knows that I will stay in my fucking bed all day if I don't have something motivating me to get out, whether it be some food, whether it be I have to use the bathroom, or I wake up and see my goals. Something has to force me out of bed, because I'm telling you, I will be lazy. Now I know I kind of brushed through that, going through like the shape up. Now my boy Trev, he didn't want anything like cut off too much on his like curls. He wanted to just shape it up and kind of tighten it up, not really take it down too much. So I went through it real quickly, kind of just really shaped it up and tightened it up a little bit more closer to his head, but still keeping a great shape for it.
I can't reach the blow dryer.
Now I am going to take the curl sponge after I finish with the haircut. As you see, I couldn't grab my blow dryer, and I'm going to be able to tighten up those curls even more just to make them pop. Now I'm gonna go ahead and go after the lineup. Go ahead and just start from the middle, work into the right side first. And what you also saw me doing before was I took down those curls in the front with a clipper over comb technique, just because, like, look, if I try to line up with all those curls before, you're never gonna be able to get like a nice crispy lineup. If you go ahead and help yourself out, take down that bulk, whether it be with a clipper or a trimmer over comb or a clipper over comb, some way to be able to make that hair shorter to make it a little bit easier on your trimmers, because sometimes trimmers back up. If there's too much hair going through that thing, they're not going to cut as crisp, or they're going to back up a little bit. You just don't want that shit happening. Take down that front lineup to make it a little bit easier on your trimmers, easier work for you to do later on throughout the rest of the haircut. Now moving on to his beard, you know, he has a little bit different beard growth. I mean, his beard grows a little bit more denser down the bottom. I am gonna use a semi-permanent dye later on. I'm gonna line him up first, and really what I'm gonna try and focus on is trying to take down beneath his jawline closer, but keeping everything, as he gave me a nice little wink, but keeping everything around the cheek area a little bit as dark as possible. I mean, it's not that dark, but I'm gonna try and keep it as dark as possible, so when I do add the semi-permanent dye, it's not gonna look too unnatural. One thing I am doing throughout this whole video is what you kind of seeing me do is like, you'll see me holding my camera throughout my phone camera throughout the video, taking little phone clips. That's for my Instagram videos. You know, and I talk extensively on that inside my New Era Barbering course on how to dominate social media for barbers. I'll put the link in that below. But really, angles when you're creating social media videos is super key. I like, really, it's not the hardest thing to do, but it is a little bit more difficult, as I'm putting him to sleep right there. It is a little more difficult sometimes when you have clippers and you have a light. It just takes practice. A lot of times it's just practice of getting to understand what angles are gonna look best on your post, what lighting is, you know, when you put the lighting in a certain direction when it hits the head, to make sure, you know, there's not bad enough shadows casting on your client's head, and really just getting comfortable with that. I think everybody, especially in 2019, is moving more towards social media more than ever. So I think just one thing that I want to voice is just, look, practice makes perfect. Just like how we do with our haircuts, you gotta practice how to take a video. You think directors of like award-winning movies made like that perfect movie scene when they first picked up a camera? Like, no, they gotta take practice with it, just like how we have to do as barbers, or even as content creators in general. You have to practice taking that content, practice having an eye for it, and really envisioning it before it happens, and really executing on that vision and bringing it to life. Now what you see me use here is that semi-permanent dye. I did finally buy that Tomb 45 dye from Chris Basio. Look, I will tell you one thing, it's runny as hell, so if you don't have a cap on your dye gun, it is gonna run around a little bit on you. But if you have something to just kind of cap it off to make sure it doesn't spill, this dye I highly recommend. It's probably one of the better dyes. It's become my go-to dye now. I was using Jesse Elite's dye before, but this one, very natural, as you see, and I can spray a whole lot on there and it's not gonna make it hella dark. Honestly, it's gonna keep it a nice natural look, and I could almost layer the dye on. And that right there is the finished product. As you guys see, I use the sponge curl on the top of his hair to go ahead and kind of make those curls pop. Enhanced it with not only some enhanced hair fibers, but also that Tomb 45 semi-permanent dye by Chris Basio. Don't forget to go ahead and pick that up. I'll make sure to put the link to both of those enhancements down below. Also, I'm gonna go ahead and link down below my courses, my online courses, for you guys as well. Appreciate y'all for tuning in this week. I'm gonna see y'all next week. All right.